everyone. It's Dr. Donahue. Welcome to Health Mastery for Leaders. I'm so grateful to have you here today. And I am waiting on my guest, Sarit. And so I'm just going to start going because I promised noontime and I like to show up when I promise. So let's talk a little bit about sugar. I didn't really have a talk plan today, but I'll just jump right in and, because like life has been shooting at us like, sugary and processed foods. And really, quite honestly, I'm going to share an experience that just happened recently with a patient. I had a patient come in, a new patient, and probably about 2 months ago. So you kind of know the idea. And what this individual was struggling with was sleep. And so she went to her primary care physician. Again, there's a time and a place for all of us. And what they had in their toolkit was Ambien. And so she was given Ambien and it worked and it put her to sleep, but she would wake up in the morning really groggy. And she wasn't really sure what was happening. And why she was feeling groggy. And then she didn't really feel like herself, right? So she felt groggy in the morning. She dragged herself through the day as a teacher. And so somebody gave her my information. And I wanted to share that this particular person, all I had to do was tweak and have her eat protein at night. And once she was eating the protein at night, she was actually sleeping. So she wasn't getting enough fat and she wasn't getting enough protein into her nutrition plan. And once we balanced out her foods, she was like ready to go and she is sleeping soundly. I did use some herbs, but sometimes my message here before I bring on my next guest, who I see just popped in, is sometimes it's just the simple tweaks that we get to do in our daily life that will set us up for success. However, we're so used to, or not me for sure when you come to see me, but as an individual, you're so used to going to the doctor and getting what I call a pill for an ill, when really like we're just get to look at your cortisol levels. We get to really make sure you're eating in enough of your fats, proteins, and complex carbs. So with that being said, that's just a brief story of what happens every day in my clinic. And I am going to bring on Sarit. I thought she had forgotten about us, but here she is. And I'm so glad that she is with us. And her and Aaron, it looks like it's just Sarit today, my dear. So her and Aaron are amazing individuals. They actually host so many different challenges and they really want to teach you how to work out, have really confidence in your body, and just show up and be the amazing person that you are every single day. So let's join Sarit, and she's going to share her tweaks on blood sugar. Hey, Sunshine, I thought you forgot about me.
Hey, no, can I share with you real quick what happened?
Yeah.
So I went in there and it's like, it says enter the studio. And I'm like, okay, enter the studio. And I'm like, on my phone, I'm like, okay, like, let me see what's going on. And then it's like you have to do a double click. You have to confirm. And I'm like, oh gosh, I thought so. Got it.
There she is. That's okay. Perfect, imperfect. We're all here. And like, so all of you know that are, live, like we show up, we do like huge businesses, but it doesn't matter. This was when you were supposed to show up.
I love you. And I'm super, super happy and grateful to be here.
Yeah. So I would love for you. So, our month is all about sugar, all about like the roller coaster rides, the addictions. Most people don't realize sugar is as addictive as cocaine, which we've talked about over the month. We're doing a sugar detox challenge starting next week. And my real goal, as all of you know, is like chronic disease. Aaron and Sarit are involved in like that working out, eating the right amount of proteins for your body, and all the messages that come along with how we talk to ourselves and changing our food. So if you just want to dive right in and hit go, like what is coming up in your heart, that would just be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. And I believe that nutrition, while it's one of the simplest things and what I hope to do, I have 30 minutes today, right?
Yeah, 30 minutes. We can go a little bit more because I have a little bit more time. But yeah, right around there is great because we seem to lose people after that.
What I hope to bring you in 30 minutes is a crash course on nutrition that will hopefully help to enlighten you and empower you, because you know I believe that it's been way overcomplicated. And if you happen to be live with us in the chat, I would love to know if you've ever felt confused with regards to what should I eat? How do I know if this is confusing? If so, just go ahead and drop a C in the chat, because this used to be me for a really long time. So I'll just share with you a quick story so that you know where I come from. When Aaron and I, like go to the grocery store, we're in public, we always get stopped and we get asked like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I want you to know that it hasn't always been this way. As a matter of fact, for a longer portion of my life, I used to really struggle with my weight, with my self-image, with my self-confidence and my self-worth. And 3 weeks after I graduated from college, what ended up happening is that my dad had a severe heart attack and he literally just dropped because he didn't know how to take care of himself. So that's when I got to meet my other me. The most traumatic day of my life became the most transformational day of my life. And, that's when I really had a spiritual awakening. And I was like, you know what? If you don't change your ways, 30 years from now, you're going to be there. So I'm like, God, show me the way. And if I happen to get there, I am committed to, spending the rest of my life helping other women who've either been in my shoes, trying all these diets, all these gimmicks, all these fads, like we'll do anything, right? Like 1,000 calories on the elliptical, starve ourselves, all these like hardcore things,
Yeah.
right? Like sweat till we feel like we can't even breathe anymore, finding ourselves continuing to, really spin our tail in circles like a cat over and over and over again. Or for anybody who's been in a position like my dad, who are just, like committed to their family, and for some reason they got stuck in the rat race and now their body is fighting them back. I believe that there is a better way to living, and that's what I want to share with you here today. So really, and Holly, I know that this is something that I'm sure you touch on as well. What it comes down to by the end of the day, when it comes to nutrition, what you want to focus on is nutrient density. And I will help you to reverse engineer, how do you know if what you're eating, as a matter of fact, is nutrient dense? So, with regards to, the nutritional principle that we teach, what we teach, we go based off of principles, not based off of diet. Because if you actually take a look at the definition of a diet, what diet means, it is the sum of foods and liquids that are consumed, as a way of life. Okay, so if you think about it, there's really no such thing as a diet unless it's a way of life. And it
Yes.
should be a way of life. And that's why if somebody like asks me, "Oh my gosh, like, like what do you think about this diet?" Then I ask the person the question of, "Well, let me ask you this. Do you see yourself being able to do it 5 years from now?" And if the answer is no, then guess what? We should probably not start there. I mean, from a healing standpoint, we might always make tweaks. However, that's why, Dr. Donahue, like, I'm sure that after the, what is it, the 7 day
Sugar
sugar,
detox.
yeah, after the 7 day sugar detox, I'm sure you're going to have another plan to make it sustainable,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
However, really when it comes to nutrition, you need to look at it this way: eat real foods, not too much, mostly plants. Okay. So now the question that we ask ourselves is, what does eat real foods, not too much, mostly plants, actually look like?
Mhm.
Okay. And that's what I would like to share with you today. So do know that, by the way, sugar nowadays has more than 50 names. So I can almost certainly reassure you that there is hidden sugars in your food that you're not even aware of. And that is the most frustrating thing. And it is happening on a higher level. And this is why Dr. Donahue does what she does. And this is why we do what we do. Because if you think about who has control over us in this country, it is big food, it is big pharma, and it is big soda. And they're all leaning to one direction. They want to get you fat. They want to get you sick. They want you to be dependent, right? Because it's a monopoly. However, we're about giving you control. So eat real foods, not too much, mostly plants. And when it comes to nutrient density, how do you calculate it? So basically the way it works is nutrients over calories, okay? And the simplest way to look at it is by identifying what is a real food from a food-like product. And that's what I would like to teach you on next. So most foods nowadays, if you take a look at the grocery store, those are man-made foods, aka food-like products. So a great statement that will help you to identify a food-like product is asking ourselves the question of, oh, was it a thing when our great grandmother was alive? Did our great grandmother eat that? If she didn't, then most likely it is a food-like product. So that is question number one. Now there's layers to that. Okay. So food-like products are foods that normally come in a box, in a jar, in some kind of container. And the reason why it's a food-like product is because foods that come in a container or in a box or something have more ingredients. And those ingredients, a lot of times, are also those extra added stuff, those extra preservatives, those extra things that make foods taste better. So as society became more advanced, right, like back in the 1900s, a great entrepreneur named Henry Ford, I'm sure we all know him, he had a vision, right, that every single household in America will have at least one car. Okay. And with that, like the workforce started happening and industrialization became more advanced, and we seeked more convenience. And with more convenience, what did we need? We needed a longer shelf life. That's why probably Dr. Donahue, I can imagine most of your audience growing up, that's when the era of the frozen dinners started happening, right? And with that, that's when we started, eating more processed foods in our bodies. And we're really starting to see the effects of it right now. So food-like product number one is, did our great grandma used to eat it? If not, chances are that it wasn't available back then. It is highly processed. Therefore, it was made in a lab. If it was made in a lab, it will probably take a lab to break it down, which means that it is highly processed, probably not the best for you. And that's what inflames your body and just puts your body in complete havoc. Okay. So with regards to that, sometimes there are exceptions, right? Like every single year, 20,000 new items come out to the market. Just think about it. So, from a detail point to detail point, like I'm going to give you like the general standpoint so you understand, because so many things come out that it's really hard to keep up, as a matter of fact. So the other thing is you want to take a look at the ingredient list. Okay. That is huge. And with regards to the ingredient list, what you want to take a look at is, number one, the number of ingredients. And number two, what you want to take a look at is, can I even pronounce these ingredients? So for example, let's say, did you guys know that there is added sugar in most breads out there? Yeah. I had a conversation with a client, like even the ones that deem to be healthy. And she's like, okay, so, I was thinking about Dave's Killer bread, because obviously the bread that I used to have, I just saw that it has bleached white flour and, it had sugar. And I'm like, okay, we'll take a look at the ingredient list. And she's like, well, you know what? I see that Dave's Killer bread has sugar too. Okay, well, that's something to think about. Mm-hmm. So even things that seem to be healthy, I can almost reassure you it has hidden sugars in there. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not telling you to, just don't live your life. It's just that when you have the right intentions, but your actions are not aligned with your intentions, and it's going to put your body in havoc. Or let's say if you have any weight loss goals and it's putting your body in havoc, it's the saddest thing. It's like me. I was like, spinning my head around my tail for years on end, trying to do the right thing, but really all the scale kept on doing is climbed up, right? To the point where I was a size 9. By the way, I'm 5'1" and I weigh like 125 pounds. So, I'm really small. Like, size 9 for me is really big. So all that to say, with regards to a food-like product, it's going to have more ingredients, and it's going to have more ingredients that are going to suggest some level of processing.
Can I jump in here for a second? Just really quickly. So when she's talking about processed foods, I want you also all to realize, many don't realize, this is a key to pop it in with this processed foods. There are labs in our country that actually test taste buds, and they actually take, and they're testing consistently, and they want you to become addicted to the processed sugary foods. So just keep that in mind when Sarit talked about, big pharma and, all of those sectors and getting you to buy these foods. One of the reasons they become addictive, and then she's going to grab it from here, is they're made to be addictive with the ingredient list that are in there that's processed.
Yeah. 1000%. And it's crazy because these people are being hired to literally find what is there's actually a name for it. And there's a movie called That Sugar Film. It's a great movie, by the way. It's called The Bliss Point. They call it the bliss point, where it doesn't taste sweet enough for you to think that there is it's overly sugar laden, but it's just enough for it to taste, good. And that's what gets you addicted, because like you said, sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Is it any wonder why, anxiety and depression are the highest it's ever been before?
Yeah.
Right? Because if we have addicts who don't even know that they're addicts, they're gonna need to get that fix all the time, right? And when we don't get that fix, what do? We snap. I used to be addicted to sugar, to food.
Yeah.
And here's the problem with that too, is that because it is so taboo, Holly, right? Alcohol addiction, drug addiction, that is accepted. But food, right? Because also weight gain and all of that, it's a very taboo conversation. I believe, especially amongst females, there's so much shame about it because we're all judging ourselves so hard that nobody's actually, I know that you do, I know that we do. We just need to continue putting ourselves out there. However, it is still not yet accepted. So we carry a lot of shame about it, but it is real. So food-like products. So now, what are real foods? Real foods are foods that either grew on the ground, on a tree, in a farm, on a bush, or, perhaps they used to move or make a sound before. Okay, so it's very straightforward. Real foods don't have any labels. They don't make any claims. What you see is what you get. A salmon is a freaking salmon. When you go to, Sprouts or the grocery store, and, it's you see the vegetable aisle, a lettuce does not tell you I'm a lettuce, right? It doesn't have any labels. Meanwhile, if we go to the cereal aisle, Cheerios has to tell you that it's cholesterol free. So that it helps to lower your cholesterol by 33% or things like that, right? So you really want to pay attention to it. And the reason why this is really important is because, there's so much marketing that's involved around it. And marketing is great. However, it's about being educated, because if you look at a label and you see keto cookie or a paleo bar, and it says made with real ingredients, or no added sugar. If you don't actually take a look at the details, because you're oh yeah, no added sugar could be good for me. Do you know that you could still be like over consuming sugar when something says no added sugar, right? So like, how do you read between the lines?
Yeah.
And the way that you do that is by taking a look at the ingredient list. And something that I see most often, right? Like, so let's say this is a food. First, we see what's in the front, like the big stuff that they want us to see, right? And then if you're anything like how I used to be, you know, the normal thing to do is to take a look at the nutrition facts. And what do we look at? We look at calories, we look at protein, and, you know, maybe sugar. However, there's so many man-made sugars and there's so many artificial sweeteners too out there that could be creating a havoc. Just because something says 1 gram of sugar doesn't mean nothing. Okay, so I just want to kind of like give you a good compare and contrast with regards to nutrient density by comparing food-like products from, you know, real foods. And, you know, summer is just around the corner. So, you know, perhaps we can, you know, just use an example of like strawberries and like strawberry ice cream, just so you see what it's all about. So when you calculate, like, so what I just shared with you is the fast track, but I want to show you like how do we derive to that so you understand the why behind it. So like we said, nutrient density is basically nutrients over calories. So before even getting into the details, I'm just going to look this up in Google. Okay. So I'm going to look at nutrients in strawberry, just so that we see how many vitamins, how many minerals, blah, 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 all that jazz. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so strawberries, it's got vitamin C, it's got calcium, it's got fiber. Okay, so those are the nutrients. And then let's look at how many calories are, for example, in 2 ounces, 23. Okay, so nutrients, we've got vitamin C, and we've got calcium over 23 calories. Meanwhile, I'm not even talking about the chocolate stuff that are more obvious. So let's look at like strawberry ice cream nutrition, 1 ounce. Just so that you can really see the difference. Okay. Okay.
And like that spikes your sugar to no end with the lactose and the strawberry and the sugar, what Sarit is looking up right now. So
1000%. So strawberry ice cream, I'm not even going to the creamy stuff or anything along those lines. So there is absolutely no nutrients whatsoever. So that's a 0. And then there is 54 calories in 1 ounce. Okay. So basically it is 4 times less nutrient dense.
So that's interesting though, Sarit. How come there's no nutrients in strawberry ice cream? They must not be using real strawberries.
So so I don't even know which ice cream it is. Let me see if they give me the ingredients.
I mean, that's the other thing we get to think about as well, because it's like, if there's no nutrients, so you're getting like 1 strawberry per scoop, like, and they're not considering any nutrients.
Right. And, you know, like, let's take a look at, for example, like the Welch's fruit snacks.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So there's a couple of ways to look at it. So right now I just gave you the mechanics. However, you know, there's progressions and there is levels. So for example, if you give, you know, like Welch's fruit snacks to your kid, you know, because they're not ready to eat a fruit yet, that could be you moving in the right direction. However, keep in mind that that is not the end all be all. So I share all of this with you because the other thing that's important to note is the science behind it and the politics behind it. What is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
The truth is that number one, there is hidden sugars in everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's hidden sugars in your bread, there's hidden sugars in your ketchup. I mean, other than the more obvious stuff, even, you know, there's going to be some kind of sugar that's man made in your ice cream that says no added sugars. There just is. So, how do you find the real truth? Just go ahead and take a look at the ingredient list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, you know, if there is anything in there that you're like, oh, well, I'm not like, you know, maybe it says sucralose. You're like, oh, well, last time I checked, sucralose is not something like a strawberry that grows, you know, on the ground. Let me take a look. Oh, yeah, it is a, you know, man made sweetener that actually, like, I mean, Dr. Donahue, you know, it completely sabotages with your metabolism, with your nervous system, and it puts your body on an extreme, right? So, you know, you want to know these things because that gives you a higher level of awareness. And then what you want to do is, you know, like you want to lead in a sustainable path, knowing, okay, like what is a way where I can eventually turn this into a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, hidden sugars are really in everything. The main thing to take a look at is it a food like product or is it a real food?
Mm-hmm.
Because with a real food, what you see is what you get. It's got no claims to make. And a lettuce does not have any added sugar. It's one ingredient. If it's a real food, it's one ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What we normally tell our clients is, you know, as you're building up, you know, like strive to have foods in your diet that have no more than 5 ingredients while you're building up. Because if you go from, you know, eating mostly highly processed foods, everything comes from a box, frozen, that sort of thing, right? I mean, that's what the American diet is all about. It, you know, we don't become 49% obese
Mm-hmm.
by accident,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's because our diets are really, really messed up. Then, you know, like let's strive to have foods that have less ingredients in them so that when you go to every single things that you want to buy in the grocery store, you don't have to say, oh, like what nutrients are there? What is the amount of nutrients and how many calories are in a serving? You're going to be doing algorithmic math for literally 5 hours. That's not sustainable, right? So, you know, going for foods that have maybe less ingredients or building up to 5 ingredients and eventually just building into the, okay, what I see is what I get.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always tell, well, patients or individuals, like what Sarita is talking about, I even kind of narrow it down when they're feeling overwhelmed, because when you are going from a process, quick grab, like high leader lifestyle, like, you know, many of the individuals that are, you know, within our bearing that we're calling in to support, it is challenging to go from that to like, I want you to cook your food every day. But if you sit down and you think to yourself, what is my protein? What is my vegetable? What is my fat? And fill in with a carb kind of picture, like that protein and fat is going to satiate you so that your mind stops craving those sugar like processed foods that your taste buds have become addicted to. Like, I really want us to hear the fact that our bodies become addicted to this, and everything that Sarita is talking about. When you're reading the ingredients, you can even become addicted to the dyes that are causing toxins in the system.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, is it any wonder that why Hashimoto's is on the rise? It's been
Yeah.
one generation in the making. It's because our moms started to get into the workforce and they started feeding us, you know, with, more processed foods. However, it was not an issue for them because, like, if you remember going to grandma's, like, think, what is the one meal that grandma would make most? Like, I don't know where you come from. However, chances are that it's most likely like a homemade meal.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, with your mom, that may have not necessarily been the case. Now, what about you? And that's why right now I believe that we cannot afford to not educate ourselves on that. And also, this is a message to all my leaders out there. Like, your body is your energy system. And if you're a leader, then there are people who are counting on you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people who are counting on you. And, sometimes something that we hear very often, and I don't know if you do too, is the concept of, I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to not invest, even if it's just like 30 minutes of your day, into your health.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that if you find yourself, in this situation, then continue immersing yourself around Dr. Donahue and, leaders that can help you, because if one person has done it, it is possible, and you just haven't figured out a better way to do it. And it's the saddest thing, putting yourself and your health in the back burner, thinking that one day time miraculously is going to show up, when the reality is that leaders know is that, it's up for us to step up in order to be the cause. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind and we're going to be the effect.
Right. And diet, like Sarit talked about all the way back to the beginning, diet is merely just foods that are put together that are the foundation for who we are. Like, it's our metabolism, it's our energy source, it's our mitochondria, it's our messaging, it's all of that. And when we start playing around with foods that might not work for us every single day, that energy, your sleep, your exhaustion, like, we're not even talking about the other 6 basics like exercise, movement, water, healthy relationships. We're just like honing in on nutrition right now, because I don't know about you, but like, I want my brain in 2030. And every time I pull statistics around Alzheimer's, which is type 3 diabetes, and this isn't fear, this is knowledge. I don't come from fear, I come from transformation, as does Sari and Aaron and their team and army. Like, we want to transform you so you don't have to worry. How many people sit in my office and they're like, I'm scared to get dementia. It's all around us. I'm sorry, but you should be. Like, and if you just don't change the foundation of your nutrition and give your power cells what they need and figure out how much sugar does your body need. Sugar isn't bad. Carbs aren't bad. Simple carbs aren't bad. It's the amount we're dosing in them. And so remember, I've taught this before, but just a quick reminder before we close, like, we have insulin, and think of it like as an army, like match Sarit's shirt here. They like power up, they grab all the glucose and they run over to the muscle of the cell and they knock on the muscle and they're like, do you need glucose? And the muscle's like, no, I'm full. I don't need any more. You really haven't moved your body today. Okay, I got to go deliver it someplace else. So they march right over to the adipose tissue, and which is your fat cell, and they're like, hey, do you need glucose? Yeah, I'll take some. Great. You start storing fat, then you get around the abdominal fat, the underarm fat that we all struggle with, inner thigh fat, whatever it is. And that's where insulin and sugar, because it has to go somewhere, right? It has to go somewhere. And the more you keep dumping in, that's what Sarit was talking about. That's when your energy starts to fall.
1000%. 1000%. And yeah, I'm really glad that you said it, because, like, we don't get Alzheimer's or diabetes type 3 or even diabetes type 2 from eating blueberries or eating apples, right? However, we have a tendency to listen to things, oh, like, I heard on such and such podcast or on Dr. So and so that, like, I should stop eating apples. Really? Like, let's live with common sense.
Mm-hmm.
For a second, right? Because the message is being manipulated so much, and this is what drives me nuts. Because if you look at our ancestors that have evolved over like thousands of years, like when we were cavemen, we're freaking beasts.
Yeah.
Right? So like that's how we were designed. The reason why we don't look remotely close to that, though an apple tree has been around for years, is because I think the better conversation is, like what's in your apple pie, or what's in your, like apple blueberry cobbler that comes with like, freshly made ice cream, right? Or it's like all these like fancy things like the macarons and the gelatos. And we think that because we're paying just a little bit more and it says like organic sugar or organic butter, oh, like we're eating something healthy. No, it's just a play on words to get you to repeat the same behavior. And repeating the same behavior, I believe, is the more comfortable thing. Yeah. Because changing our habits doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just press it with a button. Right. And we live in the Amazon era where literally the other day we ordered a book and we got it within 2 hours. Not even the next day anymore, right? So we're getting so used to that instant gratification. However, your habits, your health, your body, everything that's truly great in your life is not built overnight. You know that as a leader, right? Like you don't become as a leader from poof. How much work, time, and effort did it take?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that instant gratification, really briefly, I know you can speak a little bit on this really quickly from where, your upbringing came from. But I remember years ago, a Russian family who has become like our family. He came to live with us. His parents came over like years later. And we said to his father, like, what would you like for ice cream? And he's like, looked at his son because he didn't speak English. And he said, well, vanilla. Are there other options? I walked the mother and father into the grocery store and they looked around, their mouth dropped, and they could not believe the amount of food in the American grocery store, how big the grocery store was and how many choices. Because back in the day, they would get on a train from St. Petersburg to Moscow and they waited in line for their food. Like exactly what Sarit is talking about is like demising our country and making us selfish.
And the problem is that we don't know, right? Because it's not, like it's about what is the media portraying.
Right.
It is going to portray more of those same stuff because remember, by the end of the day, who is at the top? That's and right. This is why Dr. Donahue does what she does. This is why we do what we do. And this is why it's really important to collaborate forces because, like they manipulate the system. And, this is why, like, congratulations for being here and investing your time and energy to listen to this because, like, as soon as you leave here, you're probably going to get a text. I keep on getting a text that says, take this 1 tablespoon a day and lose 48 pounds. I'm like, well, I don't know where you got my number from. You don't even have your data right because I ain't got no 48 pounds to lose. However, they're speaking to what most people want. Like take 1 tablespoon a day. I don't even need to do 1 bicep flex to do this, right? And I'm going to lose 48 pounds like poof.
Yeah.
Right. So just congratulations for being here. Congratulations for investing in yourself and, like do the right thing. Yeah. That's what leaders do. We do the right thing, right?
Exactly. And, I just want to thank Sarit because it's so true. Like we have combined forces together on each other's platform. We both have our own gifts and that at the end of the day, it does not matter where you go. It's how you do it and how you create that foundation. I've had people come over from her platform because they need like physician labs and things to be run. I've sent people over to their platform because they have that sort of challenges they do and they hold you accountable in more of a kind of a team where we do it in a smaller way. Again, it doesn't matter how we do it. Just get it done for yourself so that you can feel your best. And so with that being said, I just want to talk about briefly our sugar detox challenge which is coming up. And I don't know if anybody of your forces in your world need it, but there it is. And we're going to run down 6 days. The first day is all going to be teaching like detail, like where is it all coming from? Like, what is your health report card telling you? What is your food going to look like? I'm going to step you into macronutrients. When I talk about that with patients, they get lost. They don't even know fat, protein, and carbs. They're like, what is that? Scary. They don't understand their blood sugar. They don't understand why they're irritable. It's often blood sugar. So what I'm going to teach you how to do is actually so much of what Sarit talked about. How can you start to look at and unwind and slowly pull away those sugars so that your body and your energy and your metabolism get better in check? It's not a diet. It's not a pill to lose weight. It is a nutrition plan. But please look up the definition of diet, because all that means is what you eat every day, like Sarit says. What we're teaching you is be aware of that, because I have a passion to heal chronic disease. I have a father who has cognitive decline who has chose diabetes, and he chose it. And he knows it, and I've said it to him. And Sarit's father, like, had that heart attack. Like, this does not need to happen anymore. And it's all sugars and things that are getting into our foods and eating genetically modified foods. So we are just each here to show you the way. Join up for the Sugar Detox Challenge. It starts next week. And like, I can't wait to share with each and every one of you, like, how you can do these little tweaks. You don't have to do it overnight, but every step you take to build your business or as a leader in what you're doing in your life, to be a mom, to be a dad, whatever that looks like, it's the same thing that we do to start removing sugars from our diet. So I want to thank Sarit so much for showing up. You all know how to get in contact with her, but I do want to pop it in for those that are going to watch the replay so they know, like, where's the best place, like, where's your favorite place to hang out? I know you're like we are on all platforms, but what should I type in the chat for peeps?
Yeah, I would say if you'd like, we're also happy to, offer like a tool, to,
yeah,
if you want to lose weight, we can definitely give you some resources that can help you to kickstart that as well. However, my favorite platform while we're on podcast, Instagram, TikTok, the whole ordeal is really YouTube, because, I'm passionate about, giving you the power and educating you. And I also think that, when you see Erin and I in our banter,
it's awesome. You guys will need to see it. I was hoping Erin would be able to show up, but she couldn't.
Got another appointment. Yeah. So, like, YouTube is my favorite. Just, you can simply go to Erin and Sarit at YouTube and you can find us there, or just look us up on all social.
So Erin Sarit at YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then if any of you can't find them, you know where to find us. And I just am so grateful, like, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, for showing up and you doing all the work that you and Erin are doing. And we're going to change one person, 10 people, 50 people, 150 people at a time. You just have to hear our voice. And at the end of the day, Sarit and I are showing up with our heart and doing this. We're here for you because we want to see you transform. Do you have any final things that you want to add before we end?
Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
You already got here not to stop. So just keep going.
Keep showing up. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up for another Health Mastery for Leaders, the Doc online show. And I just can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. And if you need us, you know where we are. Join up for sugardetoxchallenge.com. And I can't wait to see you heal and remove sugar from your diet. Have an amazing day, guys.